welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be making the easiest and fastest groundnut soup you've ever had, and it tastes amazing. So if you want to see more, then make sure you keep watching. We start this off by seasoning the meat. I use salt, garlic, adobo, and some Maggi, and then I also add oiling. Now I'm gonna leave this to marinate in the fridge for at least an hour just because I like to marinate, but it's absolutely not a necessary step. If you're in a rush, you could totally skip the marinating step.
It's barely seasoning in this. So this is just to let it have something going on with it.
While the meat is marinating, I chopped up some onions that I want to add into the pot when I'm cooking the meat. I always like to add onions for flavor when I start cooking any kind of dish that requires meat. Once the meat is done marinating, I'm going to add the meat into the pot with those onions and let those cook down. And I like to honestly let it burn and crisp a little because I just feel like that adds more flavor to the pot. As you notice, I did not add any water to this step, so I literally just let the meat cook with its own juices that come out of it, and this is how it looks like. I like that crispiness on the outside before I start adding any water because that just adds so much flavor. But the next step is to add water, and then I'm gonna start adding all the other ingredients. But it probably takes only about, I would say 15, 20, 30 minutes for that meat to cook down, depending on the thickness of your meat. So that first step doesn't take that long. And next up, I chopped up some habanero peppers and added in. Again, this step is definitely optional. If you do not like habanero peppers, then do not add any to yours. Next, I'm also adding in this green seasoning mix that I make. If you guys want a recipe to this specifically, just let me know down in the comments and I'll make a separate video for that. But that's something I like to have stored in my fridge at all times so I can add into any of my ingredients. And as I keep cooking, I'm also adding salt to taste. I do tend to keep tasting my meal while I'm cooking it just to make sure that the seasoning is perfect. I don't want anything way too over salted, so I always start with little salt and then add as I go. And you already know it's not a Cameroonian dish if we don't have the palm oil, so I do have that warming up next to the pot.
We're using a regular store-bought peanut butter. That's it.
Now, what makes this recipe easy is the fact that I'm using store-bought peanut butter. You want to use plain peanut butter. Try and find unsalted if you can, but I just use the regular store brand peanut butter here, and you want to definitely add it in little bits. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just adding little chunks and stirring it in just so number one, the peanut butter doesn't burn, and number two, you get the right consistency you want, because if you add all of it in at once, you won't know what's gonna happen. So I do it little by little just to make sure that my soup ends up with the right consistency that I'm looking for. Once you've achieved the correct consistency that you want to let this boil just for a little bit. As you can see here, I closed the lid. I would say just a few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, let it boil just so everything can work around in there. You want to keep stirring it. And next up, I'm going to add some crayfish, because what's a Cameroonian dish without crayfish? This is honestly what's going to make the difference in the taste, is the crayfish. So this is not a step or an ingredient that I would skip. And then next up is also just adding a little bit of palm oil. I don't add a lot to this dish, just a little bit. Again, the crayfish and the palm oil together really give this dish its Cameroonian flavor. Again, now you want to let this boil just for a few minutes. As I said before, you don't want to leave that covered for too long because everything will start to thicken up and get burnt. And then the next step is I add some spinach to this. This is honestly the last step. This meal is so easy. You add the spinach, you also let that cook for a few minutes while you stir it around, and the dish will be done. Like, that's it. This took me no time to actually cook, no time to prep. If I didn't marinate this would have been done in under an hour from start to finish. So you guys, let me know if this is a recipe that you want to try, or if you do try it, let me know down in the comments how it came out for you. This is such an easy meal to make. And here is the final product. This is the soup when it's completely done. When I tell you this soup is so delicious and easy to make, and it's just something that you can have in your fridge and heat up. What I like to do is I will store some of it and put it in the freezer even, so I have it for longer. And I will eat this with rice, and I eat it with any kind of rice, yellow rice, white rice. I've even learned how to make Haitian black rice, and it tastes really good with it. So if you guys want to know an easy way to make Haitian black rice, let me know down in the comments. But as always, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you try this recipe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.